FFPC Big Gorilla, another midnight draft. Was made some tacos for the kids. I was cleaning up. I was listening to some podcasts. I was looking at the lobbies, and this was the one that filled up tonight. So, thanks everybody for joining us again for another live draft. Make sure you are liking, subscribing to the channel. Like we keep telling you, live drafts all the way up to the end of this, to the beginning of the season. We appreciate all the listeners this year. We're over 1,000 subscribers. We'll be back Thursday night for another division preview. We got tons of old live drafts. We did one Monday night with Dan and Josh as well, so check that out. But if you want to hop in the chat, ask anything you like. If you guys have any questions, drop it in the chat as well. If we know you and you want to hop on the show, that is available too. You want to talk some draft? I already picked 3 picks already out of the 2 spot. We will go over that when we come back on the other side. Follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. And that's it. Let's get into this FFPC Big Gorilla. Let's go. Okay, we are back. It is 12:08 here on Wednesday, as we are in another late night draft here, and we are in the 3rd spot. As you can see, we started with Bijan Robinson at a 2-hole. That's been the pick by the consensus all year. Once in a while, he'll go number 1. But certainly like getting Bijan. I definitely have a lot more Bijan than Gibbs at the moment, which I don't mind, but I definitely want to get some more Bijan. The last live I did here, I got the Burrow, Chase, Higgins stack out of the 3-hole. So we'll see what we get here. And the 2-hole is, again, this is not 3rd round reversal, NFFC. So it swings back down. I take Tyler Warren. This is tight end premium, 1.5 points per reception. Drake London was on the board, but I already have Bijan. I don't want to get too many Falcons there. And I'm not a big Nico guy. So my decision was really between Pickens and Neighbors. Now, Neighbors is shooting up boards. I know in NFC, that's a 3 wide receiver format. He's being pushed up into the end of the 2nd round now, after previously going 4th, 5th round. So I was thinking about taking him. I just felt like Pickens with Dak. Pickens is a beast in his own right. He certainly could surpass CeeDee Lamb as the number 1 receiver. So I do like taking George Pickens there. Rashee Rice has his questions. Devonta Smith still has to, prove he could be a true number 1. Some of the backs, not bad. I just felt like George Pickens was my favorite pick there. So, we start with the running back, tight end, receivers start. We'll see how we build this team here. As you can see, Brock goes 5th overall. Then Trey McBride, Colston Loveland, and then Tyler Warren. So Tyler Warren, the more I think about it, no more Michael Pittman in the way. Alec Pierce, some injury issues. We'll see. He's supposed to get back in camp pretty soon. But, he could have a slow start to the season. Even though I like Pierce, I've been drafting a lot of Pierce. I still think he's a good value. But Tyler Warren, heck of a player, obviously. And, he could get that tight end 1 spot. So, tight end premium. The last draft, I did fade tight end. So this one, I jumped for the tight end. Ski Reese, yes, this is tight end premium, 1.5 points per reception. That's why you're seeing the tight ends fly off the board. And, you're seeing some value on some guys that usually go a little bit earlier because the tight ends are getting picked higher here. 12-team league. Again, this is the Big Gorilla, the grand prize. You're playing against, I don't know what it is, 20,000 teams or whatever. But in your own league, you could win. You win about 1,500 if you win your 12-team league. So Um, you win your league, and obviously it's tough to win the grand prize. You're going to have to do quite a few of these to give yourself a fighting chance. But hey, maybe you do two, three, four of these, and you come away with $1 million. Um, all right, so board swinging back down. There goes Josh Allen. We do have another question in the chat from Samuel Piazza 47-3. Says keeper league question. Full point per touch league. Full point per touch. Interesting. Never played in a full point per touch league. That is definitely interesting. Should I keep Tuen at the 14th pick or Burden at the 17th pick? Do you lose 2 spots on that, Samuel? Do you go down to the 12th pick, or is it the 14th? Are you already counting in the 2 lost spots? Burden at the 17th, already keeping JSN at the 7th. I don't know. What are the rosters? Is it 3 receivers? Is it just 2 running backs, 2 wide receiver flex? To me, that's pretty close. I think Burden might be a little bit better value there, 3 rounds. But either way, both those guys are incredible values. I think it mostly depends on the roster format there. But off the top of my head, I would probably say Burden if I was keeping one there. But both incredible values for sure. Really late round picks. I don't know if you're moving up 2 rounds, but either way, if you are or not, it's still pretty damn solid. Thanks for the question, Samuel. All right, board swinging back down, and we're getting a little bit of a receiver run here as McLaurin, Ladd, T. Higgins go. Again, these are normally 3rd round receivers for the most part. Going a little bit later here in this format because of the tight end premium, 1.5 points. All right, so what are we looking at? We do have 1 running back, 1 tight end, 1 receiver. I was thinking about taking Josh Allen if he was a. We have George Pickens, so maybe we stack him with Dak later on. Again, there goes David Montgomery. So, what are we doing here? We got Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Luther Bird, and DJ Moore. We got some good receivers here. I feel like I want to go receiver with the fact that I have Bijan. The question is, do I go Garrett Wilson? Or do I go Jalen Waddle? You know what? Let's do this. Let's grab Christian Watson because I definitely want him. I'm taking him regardless. So I just don't want to get sniped on him by Agronauts here. And then we'll see who goes here. If it's Garrett Wilson, that's fine. Again, I love Garrett Wilson. I've been drafting him every single year he's come out. As you see all the Jet stuff back here, I did have a couple signed rookie cards. Shout out to Joey Brown for giving me those. But they're a shit show. It can go sour real fast with the Jets. Everything just falls apart. But Garrett Wilson still gets it done. It just, he really isn't paying. He hasn't been paying off his ADP for the most part. But, maybe this year, the offensive line of the year, Geno Smith comes to town. He gets protected. He got some other weapons that are, notable there. With Adonai Mitchell, they bring in Omar Cooper. They got Mason Taylor, Kenny Sadiq, still got Brees Hall, obviously. So, they have some really good weapons. But maybe it's spread around a little bit more too. Well, let's see what's available here. Samuel saying take Wilson. Best QB he's had, and that's not saying much. Exactly, man. It's pretty brutal. I don't even know. I mean, at this point, Geno Smith might be worse than some of the guys that just been thrown out there. Geno Smith was absolutely horrible last year, but again, that Raiders offensive line, they just gave him absolutely no chance. So, it should be somewhat of an improvement here for Geno. and he's been here before. It's a little bit of a redemption tour, I guess. Wow, Bucky Irving going there in the 5th round. All right. So, there's a lot of good receivers on the board here. Garrett Wilson's still sitting there here in the 5th round. I like Jalen Waddle a lot. I want to take DJ Moore here. I, you know, I really like DJ Moore paired up with Josh Allen. I haven't been getting a lot of Waddle though. Well, we still got Harold Fannin sitting on the board. Could go 12 personnel. Um, I should probably grab no, I think I'm going to stick to receiver here. That's the strength of the board right now. All right, we're going to go with you, baby. We're going to go with shout out to Samuel. We're going to go with Garrett Wilson there. I think that's the right pick. And Samuel also says the format is 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 3 receivers, 1 tight end. Yeah, so in that case, it's 3 receivers. I'm going with Bird in there. You're getting the 3-round discount compared to Tootin, and you have to start 3 receivers. And Burden, man, with no DJ Moore in town. I mean, Burden was handpicked by Ben Johnson, and I think Burden, he's just going to get schemed up. I mean, he's going to get room in those zones to operate, and that's what Caleb likes to do. He likes to hit those short to intermediate routes. He can hit the deep ball, but he misses a lot of them. Obviously, he has the arm for him, but he misses a lot of them. So, he's going to take what the defense gives him, and Ben Johnson's going to set Burden up. And we've seen Burden after the catch. I mean, he'll make one guy miss a lot. So I think Burden, initially I wasn't so crazy about him. But the way and he's talented for sure. Burden is talented. Ben Johnson's just going to scheme him up. I mean, he does it with Loveland too, and credit to both those guys. I mean, they're both really talented too. So they not only have arguably the best offensive mind in football, or one of the best offensive minds, with McVay and Shanahan. Ben Johnson's still got to prove himself, obviously, but he's up there. I mean, he did a hell of a job in Detroit, and he proved a lot last year. With the Bears offense. He knows how to run the football. He knows how to get guys open. And Luther Burden should be in for a nice, solid season. So I think that's the play there, Samuel. Again, with the 3 receivers and the 3-round discount against Tootin. The only thing I would say about Burden is, sometimes catching in traffic, he does drop some balls. He's not the best in traffic, but, he's going to get some delay routes, quick outs, little area, crossing routes, stuff, in zones, and he's going to get that yak too. That's what he does. And again, he can make guys miss. So, I like it, man. I'm all for it. No problem, Samuel. Appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed, man, come back again. All right. So there goes Harry Fannin. If it's not tight end, I mean, even in tight end premium, that's a good value. But even in some of these NFC drafts, he's going 8th, 9th. I saw him go 11th round. I mean, he's mispriced in these drafts. Harold Fannin's a hell of a player. Talk about run after the catch and breaking tackles. I mean, he's a force. He just he really can break tackles and create more. Yak. And, obviously some new weapons in Cleveland. That's the one concern. It's going to be more spread around, yada, yada, yada. But honestly, that could help him. And if Shador wins the job, him and Shador had a pretty good connection last year. I think Fannin he's great in the goal line. He's great wherever. I mean, he can beat linebackers. He can beat safeties. He can beat some corners. And if he's getting guarded by a corner, and he'll just body him out and, break a tackle on him. So, he's a force to be reckoned with. He led college football, even though he went to Bowling Green. Obviously, he played lesser competition, but he led college football in receiving. And when you watch his tape in college, it's like, to me, it was one of the most impressive tapes. I thought he could be the best tight end coming out. So between him and Loveland and Warren last year, what a tight end class that was. And really, that's the theme of this year. I keep saying it. You could wait on tight end this year. It seems like this year more than ever, sometimes it's very deceiving. And, a lot of times we say, oh, it's always easy to get these tight ends. And then we get into the year and they all suck. But, this year more than ever, I think really you could wait on tight ends. But if you want to jump up for some of these guys, you know, Bowers, McBride, Loveland, or even Fannin, Kraft. You could wait on Fannin, Kraft, but Loveland, Warren, Bowers, McBride. Um, you know, I don't know. It just seems like everybody's going to smash, right? I mean, never works out that way, like Bowers last year. But and it took Loveland a while last year to blow up. I just, even Laporte is a great value too. So there's just, you could take Goddard later. You got Chig. You could take a bank on Kittle, and then build around him with some other healthy tight ends while Kittle's fully healthy. So you really could wait on tight end, and that's what I did in my last live draft here. On FFPC when I got that Burrow, Chase, Higgins stack. I forget what tight ends I got in that draft. I have to go and look back, but let's see. Let's see what. Let's take a look at the draft board from that draft. So this was a couple weeks ago, and I was in the three hole. So I got Chase, London, Pickens, Higgins. So I didn't take my first tight end until round 9, where I got Mark Andrews, as you could see. And then I took Terrence Ferguson and Gunnar Helm. So, I like Ferguson. They're talking about him being the number 3 receiver. I like Helm a lot. He made some plays for the Titans last year. I feel like the Titans offense is going to be a lot better this year. Second year, Cam Ward, Dable, bring in Carnell Tate, bring in Wan'Dale Robinson. So it's going to be a lot better there. So, you can wait and make it happen, really, with tight end. Even in the tight end premium, you can make it work. And then you get the value on some of these other guys, like I'm getting Higgins in the 4th round, which I like a lot. All right, let's go back to our real draft here. And there goes Kraft and Pitts, Parker Washington. How do you guys feel about the Jacksonville receiving core this year? Is Trevor Lawrence just going to have a career year and everybody's going to eat there, or some of these guys going to take away from others? It does seem like Trevor Lawrence likes to go over the middle, and that's where Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers operate, even Brenton Strange. But I do think that, if the Jaguars want to really take their offense to the next level and not be exposed kind of like they were against Buffalo in the playoffs last year, where Lawrence had those 2 picks, could have had 3 or 4, because he's thrown to the middle so much. They have to utilize Thomas on the outside, and Lawrence is going to have to start hitting the boundaries instead of going across the middle. So, I have my doubts on Trevor Lawrence really being like a true big-time quarterback. He still should be pretty solid for fantasy, especially since he runs the ball and he has so many freaking weapons. I mean, Parker Washington's solid. Brian Thomas is a beast. Jacoby Myers has always been solid. We can go back to the Patriots when they let him go and they brought in Juju Smith-Schuster. That was a mistake by the Patriots. And then Strange is solid. And then you got Liam Cohen, who's, obviously he's had 2 solid years of success now, being the coordinator with the Bucs and the head coach of the Jags first year last year. They were solid. And then you have Travis Hunter. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I don't know. Maybe the answer is just taking Lawrence, but I tend to think that Washington probably the main beneficiary in that offense. I want to believe in Brian Thomas. I love Brian Thomas. He burnt everybody last year. but it just seems similar to Goff and Amon-Ra. Lawrence probably Parker probably fits Lawrence better as well. All right, I'm back on the clock here, and so we have 3 receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end. I need to get a running back here. I'm going to take a high upside pick in Jonathan Brooks. Now he's risky, coming off injuries. You never know. His body could compensate. Maybe pulls a hammy. He's not going to play in the Thursday night Hall of Fame game, which obviously I think is smart. They may manage his load a little bit early on. He may split with Chuba early on. But, I think as we get later into the season, he's going to start to separate from Chuba. And that's kind of been the consensus opinion for a while now. And I've never been a big Chuba guy. And I kind of like, Brooks, going back to his rookie year, just can't stay healthy. So I think now is kind of his time. Does he have some risk? Yeah. Is there maybe could you say Pollard and Stevenson are a little bit safer? You kind of know what you're going to get out of those guys. But when you're playing in these big tournaments and against 16,000 people, you got to take the high upside swing, and that's definitely Jonathan Brooks. So I could go back to running back here, continue to build my backfield because these running backs are going to get eaten alive by the time it comes back to me in the 8th round. I have 3 solid receivers. I only need to start 2. You still got Marv out there. You still got Brian Thomas. I could go a lot of different ways here. I think I'm going to go back to receiver. I'm not a big Marv guy, but I do think that he should be better this year. But I'm going to, you know what? I don't have a lot of Brian Thomas this year. We'll see if he falls to me on the next pickup. But I think I'm going to go back to receiver again. Here. There goes George Kittle. So, I already have Warren, so I'm not too concerned. There's still some good tight ends I could take later. I mean, I could take Likely here. I just feel like the receiver is the better play. Is it Marv or is it Brian Thomas? Is the question here. I mean, as prospects, I like Brian Thomas a lot more. Even though Marv was the receiver taken off the draft. So, could get. Yeah, I think Brian Thomas is the play here. It's funny because if you had told me last year you get Brian Thomas in the 7th round, I mean, it's like we clicked on his name every single time. He was going to the 2nd round last year, and I was clicking on his name every time. It's just this year I'm a lot more hesitant. Not that I don't think he's a good player. Obviously, I still think he is, and I think last year what happened with him was the Jags tried to use him in Cohen's system, and I don't think he was fully ready for it coming off being his first year in the offense. And also they bring in Hunter. Maybe he was a little, maybe he had some resentments about that. I don't know. You seeing Lawrence and Hunter in these commercials together, and but they tried to use him over the middle. He looked a little hesitant at times. He had a wrist injury. It just wasn't working. He wasn't really fitting into the offense that well. And then Travis Hunter had that one game where he had 100 yards. And then he kind of unlocked the middle for Trevor Lawrence. And Hunter went down. They brought in Jacoby Myers. And then him and Parker Washington kind of just worked that middle during Trevor Lawrence's hot stretch down the stretch last year. And Brian Thomas, he make a good play here or there, but he was like the 3rd guy. So, I think they're trying their best to try to, work their connection. And all the reports have been glowing with Brian Thomas. He's more focused. Him and Lawrence have been working a lot together on deep balls and whatnot. I just have my doubts still. I need to kind of see it. But if it does unleash, if Lawrence can start hitting Thomas, and they maybe they start using Thomas, or maybe Thomas is a little bit more willing to go over the middle. Maybe he's more comfortable now, and they get him on some crossers and stuff like that, or they throw him more screen routes, which I think they should do. He was doing that in his rookie year. I think he barely did that last year. So get him some easier looks, and that would take away from Parker Washington. I don't know. I don't really. You tend to think that Lawrence is going to go by what worked for him last year and kind of stick to that. But again, the Bills kind of blew that up a little bit in the playoffs. Parker still had a good game. I think Brian Thomas scored in that game too, that playoff game against the Bills. But maybe Lawrence is kind of forced to, like I said, change things up a little bit and make defenses a little bit more honest as he tries to hit the perimeter with Brian Thomas, or maybe Brian Thomas starts to work a little bit in the middle more too. So again, this guy led college football. We were just talking about Harvard Fannin leading college football in receiving last year before he came in. And 2 years ago, Brian Thomas led college football in receiving touchdowns with 18, with Jamar Chase there. With Malik Neighbors there. So, still a hell of a talent. Again, I'm just betting on the upside. I don't feel totally confident in it. But again, he's my fourth receiver. It's more of a flex play at this point. So, he's not. I don't necessarily even have to use him as a flex, but it's just a high upside pick. This FFPC is 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 2 flex. So you can start 3 tight ends, 4 receivers, and 4 running backs. Compared to NFFC, which is 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. So you could start 4 receivers there, but only 3 running backs and only 2 tight ends. So this format is a little bit different, gives you a little bit more flexibility with the 2 flex, and you're not locked into the 3 receivers there with just the 1 flex. All right, we get a receiver run there, and smart picks by team 3 and 4, grabbing the 2 solidified running backs and Stevenson and Pollard. I could have went the safe route there too. Kind of solidified my backfield. I'm hoping that one of these running backs fall to me at the end of the 8th round. We'll see. That might not happen. These guys may snatch these running backs away. And there definitely is a big time cliff at the running back position once a certain player gets taken, in my opinion. So, I definitely want to build out my backfield. I wanted to get at least one more strong running back. Feel decent about my receivers. Obviously, I got a nice tight end, and now we just got to get the quarterback. And again, the quarterback is just like the tight end. Again, you could say it every single year. Wait on quarterback, wait on tight end. It always looks good. It always doesn't work out. But this year really feels, I don't know. I just feel like I can make it work this year. And I'm a guy who likes to take Josh Allen early. In the past, taking Lamar early, somewhat early, so it still could backfire, but there's you guys know it. Look at how many good quarterbacks are there to take that just are so enticing. And, you can put 2 or 3 on your roster and just hope that one is kind of consistent all year that you could roll with, or you play matchups, All right. So the running backs, that was kind of the thing there. Me taking Brian Thomas. Some of the running backs are starting to get hit here now. There's a couple guys left that I don't mind taking. So we'll see if they fall back to me. Wan'Dale Robinson, very interesting. Didn't he start his career with Tennessee? Or did he start his career with the Giants? I can't remember. Why do I feel like he started his career with Tennessee? Or am I thinking of a different receiver? Um, I liked him coming out of Kentucky. He blew his ACL, I think, his rookie year, and kind of was never the same. But he seems like he's still a really good player. I just don't think obviously he's famous for catching 13 balls for 40 yards. But I mean, hey, it's PPR. He's a solid play. He should be a nice target for them. Tate's going to be stretching that defense. He's a huge deep ball guy. So he's going to open up some things for Wandale. You still got Ridley as well, who could stretch the defense. So Wandale could definitely work underneath a lot. And I think Cam Ward is definitely going to be a lot better this year. When I looked at Cam Ward, I always thought, I liked him. I just felt like he'd be the type of quarterback just going to get a little bit better every year. So I expect him to take a leap up. And obviously his weapons are much improved from last year. His weapons last year were not good. And then he gets an upgrade, at coordinator too with Brian Dable. So, yeah, Wandale's pretty solid. People like Josh Downs a lot. Obviously the Alec Pierce thing again. It's kind of condensed there. No more Pittman. I think this running back might fall to me here. The fact that Team 4 and Team 3 both took running backs their last pick and both took running backs with 3 out of their last 4 picks. So I think the last running back should fall unless this guy he doesn't need another running back. So I forgot about this guy then. Team 5. I'd be shocked if he doesn't take this running back here, given that he only has 1 running back. Oh, and he takes the one I wouldn't want. Okay, perfect. He takes a running back. He takes Chuba. So, I mean, again, I could take Chuba there too. I do have Brooks. I'm just not a believer in Chuba. I'm chasing upside here. I feel like Chuba's, similar to the way he kind of lost the job to Dowdle last year for a few weeks. I just think Brooks is, way better than Dowdle, and he's better than Chuba too. So, this running back continues to get disrespected by the fantasy community year in and year out. And he's one of the best values on the board every single year. Now, he gets hurt every single year, and you guys by now should know who I'm talking about. Hopefully Team 4 and Team 3 aren't listening to this pod. I'm sure they probably aren't. I didn't post in the chat. But it looks like he's going to fall to me. It's going to be a no-brainer pick for me. And yeah, Rachaad White, you could say, "Oh, take Rachaad White." I'm just not into Rachaad White. He's been getting lucky year in year out by playing in like very, very poor backfields. Obviously, Bucky kind of leaped over him, but I feel like he could lose that job a little bit to JCM and even Katron Allen. So J.K. Dobbins is the starter in Denver. He says he's going to play all 17 games. He's due for a healthy year. Hey, maybe he says he'll play 17 and he'll miss, or he's going to stay healthy, or maybe misses in the playoffs, or maybe he misses 1 regular season game or 2 I'll take miss 2. I'll be fine with that. Double-digit touchdowns if that's the case for J.K. Dobbins, who obviously incredible player coming out of Ohio State, just some devastating injuries, and credit to him for continuing to fight back and have so much belief and still be a force in this league. But the fantasy community as a whole just lets him fall down the board. And it's mostly because of the injury. And, shout out to Jameson, our boy JMO, who was streaming earlier. Hit him up on X, follow him on X. He's been dropping best ball drafts every single night, which I like to see. Talking about how he's going to the Kentucky live fantasy drafts. He won a couple of those last year, the auction and the Superflex League. And he says the running back just nosedives this year after a certain spot, and that's who it is for me. It's after J.K. Dobbins goes. I feel like it's a nosedive. So 100% agreed there. Maybe you could say Harvey, if Dobbins goes before him. I just don't understand why Rico, Aaron Jones, Gainwell, even Harvey and Chuba go ahead of Dobbins. I don't understand it. I'm a little partial to Dobbins, but I mean, he out of all these guys, he's got the number one spot. You know, so he's their main running back in Denver. All right, so team one, he gets his running back, so he's got 4 now. Now what do I want to do here? Do I want to go to? Again, the running backs are shot, so that's about it there. What's kind of stacks do I have here? I don't think I need to think about stacks yet. And so I'm gonna take a guy that people take Harrison a couple rounds earlier, and I feel like this guy Michael Wilson, who I've been, he might be one of my most highest owned players this year. As we get a little bit closer to the season, I probably have to start laying off. But in leagues that if you give me one single bullet and you tell me, give me your best shot, I'm going to be taking Michael Wilson because I mean the chemistry that him and Jacoby had last year was terrific, and Michael Wilson contested catches unbelievable. I mean the guy just comes down with everything. So it's going to be a little crowded there if Harrison, him, and McBride are all out there together. But the Cardinals should be slanging once again. I mean, I don't know. They have this backfield where you feel like they could run the ball every down too with Connor, Algier, and Love, but they're going to be trailing in these games. So it's probably going to be Brissett slanging again. Obviously Hackett scares you a little bit. And you could say, oh, well, he left the Jets. Once somebody leaves the Jets, it gets better. But, he was terrible as a head coach in Denver. I mean, we all remember that. So, but he's not the head coach. He is the coordinator. But, you got LaFleur. He was also on the Jets. Didn't have any success there either. But, Brissett's a veteran. It's kind of crazy how the season that Brissett had last year really was remarkable because, Brissett kind of had been the guy where, he was good for 4 or 5 weeks, going back to, his last starting stint in New England when, he was starting over Drake May and then they replaced him because he wasn't doing anything good. He was doing nothing. But their offensive line wasn't good. But I don't know, maybe Brissett just learned something last year. And, between having McBride and Michael Wilson, those guys just really helped him elevate. I mean, he was just throwing it up to Wilson. Wilson's just coming down with it. He's, and he could throw an accurate ball. So he kind of made things easier for Brissett. Those guys made things easier for Brissett. And you had Harrison. So, I don't have the balls to really add Brissett as my second quarterback in a redraft league, but in a best ball league, why not? Although, he could lose his job, I guess, at some point to Carson Beck. They're 2-9 or something, and Carson Beck comes in. But that's possible too. I don't know if you really want to be drafting him at all. But best ball, I think you could take a shot, do enough drafts. But Carson Beck, I think he could be decent. He's looking pretty good in camp. So if Brissett gets replaced, that was kind of the one knock. Well, they got to go to Carson Beck, and their offense is going to fall apart. But maybe he can sustain him. I'm not going to worry about that too much. JMO says, appreciate you, man. Our boy Vega's back. Friend of the show with the Dave Chappelle picture. Says, well, I was watching a channel, Dynasty Domain, part of the Flock League. Someone asked in the comments, good strategy. I said, don't draft Malik round 1, not knowing they did it last year. I was blocked from comments. All right. Yeah, I mean, Malik last year in round 1 was solid. I don't know why the hell they blocked you if you're saying that. I don't see what's so controversial about that. You just pop a little joke. But I mean, Malik comes out this year and shows out. I mean, he may have a little bit of a slow start, but he shows out. He'll be right back in round one next year. I mean, he certainly could perform like a round one receiver. I feel like Malik's got the talent to be, the best receiver in this league. I mean, his acceleration is like second to none. Now we'll see how he comes back from his injury. He's still not practicing. He's running around a little bit, cutting a little bit, but he's not, been active in camp yet. So, now you get him here in this draft, third round, before, he's going fourth, fifth. If once he enters camp, he'll probably be in the second round and he'll probably just stay there. Unless, he starts going into the preseason and, catching, looking like dynamite in the preseason, then maybe he gets to the back end of round one. But he'll probably find his way into the second round and probably stick there. I mean, in NFC, he's kind of sitting in the second round anyway, but even I'm saying in FFPC, he might move up to the second round. JMO says Dobbins has been a great click, easy way to recover on running back as well. Doesn't make sense that so many backups going for him. Yeah, man, again, the fantasy community, there's a lot of groupthink, and everybody kind of just lets the guy fall, and they just feel comfortable. Oh, well, he's going to let him fall, then I'm going to let him fall. And this guy's nobody's taking him, so nobody likes him. That means I don't like him. So sometimes people don't really think for themselves. But again, people have seen Dobbins miss time every single year too, so that plays into it. That's obviously part of it all. But the guy's a hell of a player, and he's on a good offense. They had Jalen Waddle. He vows to stay healthy this year. And again, the guy's overcome a ton, and he's still young, with not a lot of tread on his tires, despite all the injuries. Remember Frank Gore? He started his career with, I think in college, he tore his ACL, and I think his first year in the NFL, he tore his ACL. And look at the career he had. So, Dobbins, he had, I think he said 2 ACLs and an Achilles, or an ACL and an Achilles. But either way, he's still young, 27. Great prospect, great offense. He's not the same guy because of all these injuries. I feel like he's lost a little something for sure, but he's still damn solid. He knows how to play the position. So, yeah, I love him. I love it. And then, like we were talking about earlier, there's a big, big drop off at the position once he goes good night. There goes Chig. Matthew Golden, very, very interesting pick this year. I prefer him over Jaden Reed. I just feel like he's more of a traditional NFL type receiver. Now, I did like Jaden Reed. I do like Jaden Reed. I just I don't know. I don't know if I could ever see him being a true consistent option in this offense with the Packers, like week in and week out, where I could kind of see Golden being that. But that's a close one. That really is a close one. But anyway, I prefer Golden there. I think Golden's going to be a little, take a step up there this year in the offense. No more Dobbs, no more Wicks. So one of these two guys has to step up. Even Kraft, he's going to probably work his way back slow. Jacobs has got his own issues, so they might be throwing more. This could go back to the Jordan Love of a few years ago when he had 30 touchdowns and he tore the Cowboys up in the playoffs. And the next year I was like, take the Packers stacks. They got the Wu-Tang Clan at receivers. All these guys can run routes. They can get open. And Love just got hurt that a year. And, starting with that game in Mexico, and he was never the same. And, now Love is he's just inconsistent though. Like, he'll show flashes where he looks great, and then he'll just do a bunch of dumb stuff. He'll be throwing off his back foot too much. So I think LaFleur's got to kind of hone him in a little bit. And that's obviously, probably why they run the ball a ton there too. They probably realize that. But he's going to get stretches where he gets hot, And maybe now with Watson healthy and you bring in Golden and Reed, all these guys have been injured too. So that kind of plays into it too. I mean, Love's been inconsistent. He throws off his back foot too much, but he's been injured. The receivers have been injured. So if they can all kind of stay healthy, I mean, there is a world where Jordan Love can get back to, throwing 30 touchdowns and 4,500 yards. All right, what am I looking at here? Tight ends have been getting hit pretty good. Quarterbacks. Yeah, Dak is sitting there for the Pickens Dak stack, so could go to quarterback here. Um, I think it makes sense. I'm good. I'm okay at running back right now. Um, could take one of these receivers. The tight ends, I got some plays later on that I could utilize that I like. So yeah, let's go Dak. Let's get that stack there. Prescott in the 10th round. I could have had the Lawrence Thomas stack, but I feel like the Dak Pickens stack is very, very solid. And there's a couple more quarterbacks that I could wait on and get later. But let me solidify Dak. Dak is one good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year. But you know, you have Pickens and freaking CeeDee Lamb, uh, you know, new offense this year. Um, well, second year. I'm sorry, second year in this offense rather. Um, which is better. Um, and then you got Flournoy. Ferguson's solid. Javante played well last year. We'll see if one of these other running backs steps up, or it's Jaden Blue or possibly Phil Maffa. But the Cowboys are going to put up points again. It's just Dak. He's had his injury concerns. Like I said, one good year, one bad year. Um, he's getting older. I think he knows how to take care of his body better. He's being smarter. He's not running as much, which obviously keeps him healthier. And he's got two absolute forces to throw the ball to. And then you throw him Flournoy, who's a good player too. They still have that speedster too. What the heck's his name? I'm forgetting his name. The short guy. He can make some plays. Oh, I'm up on the clock here. I'm babbling too much over here. Um, let's go back to receiver. Let's take Romeo Dobbs. Interesting. I mean, you got Jacoby Myers there, you got Worthy, you got Coker, you got Shakir, you got Shaheed, you got Debo, you got McMillan. A lot of people are taking Stribling. Pearsall, nobody's going to take him at this point. I mean, Worthy, man, I liked him so much as a rookie. And even last year, I thought he was going to be pretty good, but I don't know, man. I don't know if it's going to happen for him. He doesn't seem to track balls well. He doesn't catch contested passes. Um, the way defenses play now, they take away the deep ball. Mahomes has been hitting shots underneath. Mahomes has not been hitting the deep ball lately. Mahomes is coming off an ACL injury. So, I don't know. I feel like, you got Kenny Walker. I feel, they're going to rely on him a lot. It's still going to be Kelsey underneath. Still going to be Rice underneath. We'll see if Jalen Royals maybe has a little bit of a bigger role this year. Receiver that they drafted last year. I don't know. I just feel like Worthy's more of a best ball play, even though I do want to believe in him possibly being a thing this year. I wouldn't completely write it off. I think it could still happen. I mean, he's still a really talented kid, and he's playing with Andy Reid and Mahomes, so you can't really just say there's no way. I mean, there's definitely a possibility there. So and again, a lot of these guys are kind of speculative here, but we don't really know what Dobbs is going to do with. You still got Boutte there, and you got the running backs and AJ Brown. So Dobbs is going to be inconsistent. But Drake May could have a big time season too, and Dobbs could have some nice weeks. Coker, I mean, he's pretty solid. He kind of outperformed McMillan at times, and he had a strong playoff game against the Rams. Shakir's very inconsistent. Shaheed's very inconsistent. Debo, you could say you could go to him now that he's there with no Pearsall. So I don't know. there wasn't really that many good plays on the board there. I've been taking a good amount of Coker. I've been historically take a ton of Shaheed. I take Shakir here and there. I only have one other share of Dobbs that I can remember between all my drafts. Worthy would have definitely been my first share, so I could have went there, but I just wasn't quite ready for it. All right. Well, if you guys are watching, um, please like and subscribe at Fantasy Savvy on YouTube. Definitely, if you're watching on X or Twitch, head over to YouTube and subscribe there. That's where we want to build our following the most. We jumped over 1,000 followers. We got to get a certain amount of hours viewed to start getting monetized on this channel, which would be cool. Kind of started to build this channel up last year in June when I, kind of left face off after Anthony passed. But I've had the channel for a while. I just never really went full out like I did last year, and did a little bit the year before too. But I was doing a lot of stuff on the Face Off channel too. So this year obviously is going to be my most. We also have Dan and Josh doing a show every Monday, and then we do a roundtable show. Right now we're breaking down the divisions every Thursday, and then during the season we'll have recap shows. We'll have previews. We'll have some DFS stuff, some betting stuff. We have March Madness stuff. We're hoping to have some NBA, maybe some NBA drafts with our boy Josh. He's been scouting the prospects there. So we cover all that. We even had a golf show with my nephews. They did a great job. So we're trying to cover it all. Maybe we'll get some baseball stuff here eventually, and maybe even soccer. I don't know. Hockey. I don't know. We'll see. But obviously football centric. But we go pretty hard in the NCAA tournament too. We break down the tournament and every week leading up to the championship game. So appreciate you guys liking and subscribing there. And then you guys can follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. All right, so we got 5 receivers. We have 3 running backs. We got our quarterback. We have 1 tight end. The tight ends are going to get eaten up here in a tight end premium. So even if you think you have a sleeper here, like you're seeing Hawkinson and Sadiq go now. So this is kind of when you got to turn it up. You just got to grab your guy. If you believe in a guy, you can't think, oh, well, he's going to wait. No, it's like he's going to get snatched up here in this draft. And, I liked it. I got the 2 spot in a non-third round reversal. That's what you want. You want a top 5 pick in this format. There goes Rashid Shaheed, Tank Bigsby, nice little handcuff to Saquon. This guy doesn't have Saquon, but I do think it makes sense that if you take Saquon, you take Bigsby way later. It seems like he's although, Will Shipley could definitely work in too. I mean, he's a good player, I thought, coming out of Clemson. But, Bigsby would probably be the number 1 guy, although it could be a little bit of a share. So it's not a bad handcuff, not a bad pick at this point. Arondé Gadsden, there's some news that, he may not have a big role in this offense. I don't know. I mean, McDaniels doesn't really like to use the tight end. I mean, he had Gesicki all those years, never really used them. But he did use Jonnu, which was kind of weird. Jonnu catching all those dump offs, 19,000 dump offs. By that point, too, I think just hitting the head too much. You're just trying to dump everything down. It's funny because you had I don't know what that offense morphed into in Miami, because you had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, 2 of the best downfield receivers in the league. And both those guys had a couple really big years. And Tua led the league in passing. And then all of a sudden it morphed into like this horizontal offense where it was just swing pass after swing pass to Devin Achane and, dump off after dump off to Jonnu Smith. And Tyreek and Waddle were like afterthoughts on the offense. I don't know if it was just McDaniels realizing he didn't trust Tua to go downfield anymore, or McDaniels thought this was the best way to operate his offense through Achane and Jonnu, and then Achane again when Jonnu left, or if McDaniels just flat out thought that's the way he thought the best way to move the football in general. I mean, I was reading some things like, he's talking to Herbert about getting the ball out quicker, and so I don't know if they're gonna. I just hope that he lets Herbert go downfield, and this doesn't become a horizontal offense, because that may help Lab McConkey. That may help the running backs. But how's it going to help Quentin Johnson if he's not? But that's kind of in Herbert's nature. He likes to go downfield, so it should stay in. He got Harbaugh there, but I don't know. We'll see what what Mad Mike dials up there in Chargers land. Everybody and their mother's expecting it to be an explosion, but Herbert, he kind of comes up short in big spots. He's shown a lot of inconsistencies. So I still think, he could have a big year. He does get hurt a lot. It definitely seems like a big upswing offense this year, especially if you get Joe Alt back and Slater back healthy. I mean, that's what killed that offense last year. We saw it in the playoffs. So yeah, I think they're looking up for the Chargers. I get a little weird when everybody and their mother expects them to take a huge step up. But Harbaugh is a winner, and he should be able to eventually get something, make a serious run with that team. But Chargers, they just seem like they always charge. So, all right, back up on the clock. Not thinking about my picks. I'm thinking about the Chargers here and charging. Some good receivers still on the board. Tight end's getting eat up. So I think I gotta grab one tight end here. And I only have 3 running backs, right? So there's some good receivers still on the board, but all right. Well, we have Dobbins, so I think it makes sense to grab Jonah Coleman and get a little piece of that Denver backfield there. Marshall and Lloyd, you could take Kamara. Now there's word that there's gonna be a little more of a split there with ETN. I don't know. I still feel like Kamara is going to be. I feel like it could be like a 70-30 split. I think Kamara is going to take a big back seat. He's mostly going to work in the receiving game. I think most of the carries are going to go to ETN. He's going to get like 14, 15 carries a game. He'll catch a few passes. I think Kamara, he may get 2 or 3 carries, maybe 4, and then get 2 or 3 targets. I just don't think Kamara is going to have a huge role. I might be wrong. The only time I really like to take Kamara is if I'm looking for some running back depth. So I do think, ETN is kind of, some people think he's a trap, but we say that kind of every year about ETN, and then he just keeps delivering. I think he's had one bad year in fantasy. And then ever since then, people kind of given up on him a little bit. They kind of doubt him every single year. I mean, last year he was highly doubted, and look what happened. And this offense is going to be great. So, ETN, I think he's going to be pretty damn solid once again, and you don't have to pay too much for him either. Man, I don't know. I just can't get behind Greg Dulcich. I can't. Everybody's talking about it. I just can't. I mean, there's not that many options there. I don't know. I mean, Dulcich's been in the league for 4 or 5 years, but that was the same thing with Jono. I mean, Jono never did anything really either. Then he went to Miami, had that monster year. I know it's a new regime, but I don't know. I just can't get behind it. I feel like I'd rather just take a solidified, solid pick in Dalton Schultz. Hunter Henry, now with AJ Brown there and Dobbs, I feel like he'll probably be a little bit more inconsistent. Oh, wow. So, all right, I'm going to take my boy Gunnar Helm. I like the upside of Gunnar Helm. I was gonna take Schultz, take the safe pick there, and you get Shakir there in the 13th round, really solid. I mean, there's some good receivers left. There's a couple nice receivers. I mean, Shakir in the 13th round, pretty damn solid. So tomorrow I'm doing a live draft with Joe on Player Profile. We'll be doing an FFPC draft. So shout out to Player Profiler and Matt Kelly for and shout out to Joe. He didn't have to invite me on. He got the invite to do the show, and he asked me to go on. So shout out to those guys. That should be a lot of fun. That's going to be tomorrow, 10 o'clock on Player Profile channel. So check that out. And then Thursday, we're doing the NFC West with the guys here on this channel. And then we'll be back for more live drafts over the weekend. A couple more. We're going to keep cranking them out. We're getting to the countdown now. But we have 5 more Sundays till the season starts, which is crazy. We got our first preseason game this Thursday night, the Hall of Fame game. That will actually be on while we're live on Thursday. Maybe we could start that show a little bit earlier. Kind of go over some of the picks in that game. Talk about that game a little bit. Actually, maybe we can try to go a little bit earlier. We'll see. If not, we'll have it on while we're on, and we'll talk about it that way. But again, appreciate you guys joining us tonight. FFPC Big Gorilla, 20 rounds, tight end premium, 12-man league, playing for the league prize and playing for the overall prize. So how you got to do it in FFPC is the top 2 teams, I think it's best record and most points, automatically qualify for the shootout, which is how you play for the $1 million. But then there's a playoff too. So the top 4 teams play for the playoff. So if you're not part of those 2 teams after the regular season, after week 13, week 12 in the FFPC. So the FFPC ends week 12. So you got to be the top 2 teams to qualify for the postseason. But if you don't qualify as the top 2, the top 4 make the playoffs. So the 2 best records, the 2 highest scoring teams. And then those 4 teams play against each other in the playoffs, weeks 13 and 14. So if you win the league, even though if you weren't top 2 after week 12, you also advance to the shootout, plus you win the league. And then weeks 15, 16, 17, they take your total cumulative score. They take the average from weeks 1 to 15, 1 to 14 rather. And then you play 3 weeks, 15, 16, 17 in the shootout. And then just add your points from that average for those 3 weeks. But check it all out. My FFPC, those guys do a great job. They've been around for a long time. I played in one of their leagues years ago. I think it was like 2000, maybe 2012 or something like that. I would play like one league. I think it was called the Players Championship back then. But they have a show every week that Eric does a show. A lot of good guests. He does a great job hosting that show. Very, very organized, very, very official, high stakes site. And they have all different types of leagues, chop leagues, dynasty leagues, best balls, $20 leagues, $35 leagues. So they got a ton of things you can check out. Check it out, myffpc.com. And they got a nice little app as well. And then their theme is tight end premium, 1.5 points PPR, just like NFFC is the 3rd round reversal. Okay, swinging back down now. And Dolch is sitting there like a loaf of bread. Probably got to grab a quarterback here in the 14th. Stafford's still sitting there. That's pretty nice. I mean, guy threw 46 touchdowns last year, and he's got Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. and Sean McVay. Just an incredible value. So that's it's going back to what I was saying this year more than ever. The quarterbacks and the tight ends just really seem. I mean, you got Herbert, you got Lawrence, you got Caleb, you got Dak, you got Purdy, you got Dart, you got Mahomes, even who used to be the first quarterback going off the board years ago. Tyler Shuck. I'm not into Kyler Murray, but I mean, he's in that O'Connell offense with Justin Jefferson and Addison. So, it could work too. Baker, Bo Nix. Tight ends are kind of hit now. Obviously, don't want to wait too long. But there's still some good quarterbacks left. There goes Stafford. And it makes sense because this guy has Ferguson. It's a little mini stack there. Team 5. And we'll go over some of these teams as we wrap this baby up. Actually, my next 2 picks, we'll start talking about some of these teams. I don't know what teams you guys like. If you are watching live, drop it in the comment. If you're watching after the fact, drop it in the comments. Oh, shit. Okay. AJ Barner. Oh, Omar Cooper. I like that pick there. I mean, look at this. Travis Hunter is just sitting there. This guy, how many quarterbacks does he have? He has 1. All right, let me take I'm not, I'm not gonna be I went for this stack a couple years ago. Like I said, the Jordan Love Packers stack didn't work. But I got Christian Watson, so it makes sense here. And I'm not gonna have a lot of love this year. A lot of Jordan Love. But I'll pick my spots on them. Do I feel great about Dak and Love? Honestly, 2 quarterback. I like to get running quarterbacks if I can. Love runs a little bit. Dak will run barely anything at this point, but both these guys can throw for 4,500, and both these guys can throw for 35 touchdowns. So, you like a little bit better in NFFC with the 6 points per passing touchdown. But we'll take it. This guy takes Malik Washington and Jared Goff, and there's a running back on the board here that I like, and I believe in him. I'm going to take. There's a couple of running backs, but I was taking this guy, and then I kind of last couple of drafts I've been falling off on him. But I like Katron Allen coming out of Penn State. Again, that backfield is not that strong. Rashad White, JCM. We saw everybody was hyping him up. I think guy's a 7th round pick. So, this guy's coming out of a legit school, Penn State running back, and you watch his tape, he's solid. Emmett Johnson, I don't know. I got to watch a little bit more of him, but and I wasn't too impressed by him. I probably got to watch him a little bit more. And the rest of the back, Mike Washington's interesting. He may have a nice little role there with the Raiders. Obviously, Genty's the number 1, but, look at what Kubiak did with Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. And even on the stretch, he's mixing in Helani. So he kind of likes to mix in a couple backs. So Washington's going to have a little bit of a role there. And Genty was talking about how they, him and Washington are like a duo. So, I think he's a nice little late round pick. I was kind of taking him in earlier drafts. I've kind of laid off of him now. There's a couple other backs that I continue to take here towards the back rounds, the ending rounds here. We're running out of positional players here. Now, you could jump up and take Rams D at this point. People are doing that. People are taking Aubrey. He seems to go in the 13th round all the time. The Rams defense and the Texans defense have both went. Obviously, the Rams bring in Myles Garrett. They bring in those 2 corners from the Chiefs, McDuffie and Jalen Watson. So, was it Snead or Watson that they brought in? Either way, that was their weakness, the Rams. last year. So they shored that up, it looks like, and then they get Myles Garrett to help that secondary too. So they lose Jared first, who's a good player in his own right, but Myles Garrett is on a different level. So the Rams, like the Dodgers, the Dodgers getting schoolball, which is ridiculous. Now you got the Rams, getting Myles Garrett. They're stacked to the brim. So the Rams, I haven't looked at it, but probably one or two in Super Bowl odd favorites. Let's take a look at it. Yep, Rams plus 550 to win the Super Bowl. So plus 550 for the Rams, plus 10-1 on the Bills, 11-1 on the Seahawks, 12-1 on the Ravens, 16-1 on the Chargers. This is February 14th, so this was the opening. All right, let's get the live here. Okay, so Rams still the favorites, plus 550. The Ravens and the Bills are about even. Interesting. Even though the Ravens got a brand new coach, move off Harbaugh. So the Ravens, the Bills, and Seahawks are all kind of the same. And then it's the Chiefs, Patriots, Eagles, Chargers, Packers, Texans. All right. All right, back to the board. There goes Dulcich. There goes Patty Fryermuth. Mike Washington, who I was just talking about, goes. And Malik Willis goes. I may have taken Willis. I noticed Willis is starting to go a little bit earlier now in some of these drafts, where in the past he was kind of going 17th, 18th, sometimes not even being drafted. And some of the early drafts I was doing, now he's getting bumped up. People are I guess there hasn't been any bad reports on him, so people are like, oh, maybe he's gonna win the job. I mean, there's still some talk that he may lose the job to the freaking the rookie from Texas there. The hell's his name? I know Greg Cosell was saying that, but I don't know, man. I don't see it. And I didn't really do a good look on what he did last year in Miami. The Texas quarterback. I'll bring up his name in a sec. I believe in Willis. I like what LaFleur did with him, and I think he really. I mean, this is a hot take for sure, but I thought the Packers should have kept him over Love, but obviously they paid Love a ton of money. That really wasn't going to work. That obviously would have been crazy if they ever did that. But I think Willis is better, and obviously he goes to a much worse situation now, going to Miami, leaving Green Bay, and that solid foundation he had there. Interesting. Eli Stowers, the rookie, going. Honestly, I haven't taken a good look at him. All the basic consensus there is that there's no way he's going to take away from Dallas Goedert, and you would hope not, because Dallas Goedert started his career playing behind Zach Ertz all those years, and he never really got a chance to really show what he could do. And now finally he's the guy. And Goddard, I mean, he's another great late round pick. Goddard, the reason when he always busts out because he gets hurt every single year. And now no AJ Brown. I mean, it just seems like he's a really solid late round pick. I mean, you get him in the 9th round here in a tight end premium. Very, very solid. So, I'm kind of with that, even though I don't want to count out this kid, Stowers, before I, really take a deep dive on him. But I just feel like the veteran Goddard has kind of earned his stripes in this league, and the way he started behind Ertz, it's his time now. So it's probably Stowers a couple of years. He's more of a dynasty pick, but this guy's taking an upside pick there. Whatever. Some good receivers here. Travis Hunter goes. Tank Dell's another late round receiver I like to take. I think he'll continue to move up boards as he shows out healthy in camp. Hunter, there was a report today with Cohen talking about they're just teaching him certain packages now rather than the whole offense, which kind of shows he's not going to really be out there all the time. But obviously that can change. If there's an injury, Hunter takes a big step up in the offense if they need him, and the defense is playing solid. So, you take him in the 15th round. The guy won the Biletnikoff, best receiver in the league, wins the Heisman, second overall pick in the draft. It's a high upside swing. I don't mind it at all. All right. There's one more running back I want to take. There's one more receiver I want to take. So 216. I got 3 positional picks left. I think I can make it work here. Let's take Vidal. It's close between Vidal and Alani. I think that's a close one. But I like the way Vidal played last year. And I know they bring in Keaton Mitchell, but I don't know. I don't know if I think he'll still maintain a role. Now you could go. What was that? Spider crawling my foot or something. You could go Helani, no Charbonnet. It sounds like Helani's going to have a nice little presence. Helani, he kind of showed it in the preseason. He showed it a little bit last year. Sean Tucker's another way you can go in these late rounds. At running back, you could go James Conner. Hope that he gets shipped to a different team. A lot of people are taking Damon Claiborne. That's honestly not a bad pick either. I was watching some of his film. I didn't finish it, so I'm not completely sold on him yet. But Jones certainly gets hurt every single year. It's not like Mason. I feel like Mason is, he was elevated by his play in San Francisco. He had some opportunities last year and just did not look good. Now, the offense was shitty. The offense should be better this year, so maybe Mason's better by default just because of that. And he's still not a bad pick. The fact that, he's always getting hurt. Aaron Jones, but Claiborne, not a bad pick at this point. Some people take Seth McGowan, some people take LaQuinn Allen, Isaiah Davis, Adam Randall. I've seen go Emmanuel Wilson, Amari DiMercado. I've seen guys take P. Ryan. So, all right. Again, we have 2 positional picks left. Flournoy kind of fits the bill here for me because I have Pickens and I have Dak. There is a receiver that I absolutely love. But you know what? I'm going to take Flournoy. I'm trying to just mold my build here. Instead of taking this guy that I've taken a lot. I'm not going to mention his name because I may want to take him in the 18th round, but he'll probably be gone actually. We'll talk about him when he gets taken. But there's a lot of good late flyer receivers you could take. It really is. I mean, this kid Cyrus Allen is getting a ton of hype now. Boudet, Wicks, Ridley is crazy. Tyquan Thornton could be a thing. Jack Betch, Caleb Douglas, he's got some good reports in camp. Pat Bryant, there was a report on him today. He's going to get more of a role. I loved Pat Bryant coming out. I was drafting him early. Now I fell off of him. I don't know why. I should start going back to him. He seems like an early fab pick. Jacoby Lane is a guy I like a lot. Rookie for Baltimore. I mean, he could be a play. Skylar Bell for Buffalo could be a play. Bryce Lance maybe for the Saints. I mean, really, there's a lot of these guys really could be a thing this year. Jalen Royals, even Xavier Legette with Chris Brazell now out for the year. Now, Legette, it's just not happening for him. It's crazy to think he was a first-round pick. But, I mean, DK, he showed some flashes last year. Tez Johnson, Isaiah Bond, DeMarcus Robinson now with Pierce all out. Luke McCaffrey, Kavontae Turpin, who I was thinking of earlier for Dallas. Flournoy kind of I thought Turpin was going to be better than Flournoy, but Flournoy actually stepped up over him. So there's a lot of names here. You know, that's pretty much it. I can't see any other ones here. You know, I got Mooney's not bad. This kid Jeremy Bernard, I guess. Keenan Allen, if he signed somewhere. Chris Bell, he was the higher draft pick of in Miami. Malachi Fields is another one. So there's a lot of names. There's a lot of late flyer picks at receiver. You know, these if you're in a deep best ball draft, you know, over 20 rounds, these are some of the names you could take a chance on. But you could do it in these drafts too. You know, in the 18th round or whatever. If you take your defensive kicker later early, and then you know you have a positional player in the 19th or 20th round, you take a shot on one of these guys that nobody else has. And then you know they go off week one, and instead of you dropping, you know, $300 to go get them or whatever, you have them on your roster already. You save a ton of money, and you beat out the rest of your league. You just got to guess on the right guy. And at this point in these later rounds, I mean, a lot of this is guessing anyway. So just take your pick, even though some of these guys aren't getting drafted. Who cares? You know, you want to switch it up and take some chances. You know, if you really believe in a player, even though he's nobody's taking him, just because nobody's taking him doesn't mean you don't want to take him. I've taken some shots on some of these guys. So there's actually one more tight end that I want to take here because I only have two. And I mean, I have Warren and I have Helm. I mean, I could let this guy go, but I feel like he could be a big pickup during the year too, and it's tight end premium. So I might grab him. Actually, there's another guy here at tight end too. That's it's kind of interesting. All right. Hour 21 on an impromptu FFPC draft here at 1:30 in the morning, Wednesday, August 5th. 121 gigawatts. So again, we'll be back tomorrow on the Player Profiler. Not on this channel, but on Player Profiler. And then we'll have some more live drafts over the weekend. So appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. We're almost done here with this baby. This is our second live FFPC draft of the year. We'll probably have at least a couple more of these before we're done. I still want to get into some more underdogs and some DK lives. And obviously more NFFCs will be coming up. And I do want to do a couple RT sports. We did a couple the past couple years, and I want to show off those guys as well. It's just that the timing hasn't worked out. They used to have a later draft. I think they used to have 11:30, but lately I've only been seeing 10:30s. So sometimes it works out for me where I'm better with the earlier drafts. I mean, the later drafts, especially while the kids are out of school. All right, Sammy Darnold. So, you know, do I love this team? Not really. I like my Chase Burrow Higgins stack team a little bit better. But again, I jumped up for Warren in this draft where, you know, that draft I waited till round 9 to take Andrews. So, you know, I'm banking on Warren, you know, being a big piece here in the 1.5 point premium. And again, I got the value there out of the top guys, I thought. But I mean, again, you could wait to round 5 to take Harry Fannin. I mean, he could produce like some of these guys too. Even Kraft can do that. Kyle Pitts is going to remain inconsistent. Laporta, I mean, he was already tight end 1, so he could. There is a world where he could get back there too. So I feel like Laporta, Fannin, Kraft, really, really good values. Kittle, he's still somewhat of a, you know, question mark because of coming off an Achilles. You know, the freaking Niners and the substation. You know, we don't know. Yeah, he's still kind of a risk. But I mean, even if you take Kittle, like this guy took Schultz, I'd probably take one more tight end. I'm sorry, he took Laporta and Kittle. So yeah, he did it right. He did it right. So that's kind of what you want to do. You know, Goddard, like I talked about, is a great value late. Kincaid is still a risk, but he has a ton of upside. Chig, um, Terrence Ferguson. So there's just a lot of names. Strange. All right, I'm up next. So I got one positional player left. There's two tight ends I'm looking at. There's a receiver that I love that I passed on because I went with the Flournoy build. I'm good at running back now. One, two, three, four, five, six running backs. My backfield isn't the strongest, but I have two pieces of that Bronco backfield, and then I have Brooks and I have Robinson. Um, I have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven receivers, two tight ends, two quarterbacks. Between the, you know what? I'm going to take this receiver because I love him a lot, and then if one of these tight ends pops up during the year, I'll drop some early fab on him. I think they're still going to kind of remain under the radar. Those two guys were Darnell Washington and Eric All that I was looking at. Burrow was talking up All, and he's going to stand out. But they have a couple tight ends in that roster. Um, Zachariah Branch, I just when you watch him, he just looks different. He looks like a Waddle Hill. I mean, he has that Tyreek Hill where he catches the ball in open space and then he just makes that turn like Tyreek does and just runs away from the guy. He does the same exact thing. So the guy's a workout maniac. He actually left USC because the gym wasn't conducive to the way he wanted to work out. So he ended up going to Georgia because of that. Um, I saw that in the Amon-Ra, the St. Brown interview. And also his grandfather, his uncle was Cliff Branch, former Super Bowl champion for the Raiders. So he's got that bloodline. And I think too, his parents, I think he played the piano for a long time. So this guy's like got a various, things going on with him. It just really seems like a good fit. And Tua's used to, checking down, quick passes. I really feel like he can make that number two role in that offense. Um, at wide receiver. So I like that him as a late. I like where I got him in this draft. Wow, Jason Myers is still sitting there at kicker. That never happens. NFC, he's usually always gone. By the night, he's gone a couple rounds earlier. So I'll take that. The number one kicker from last year. Beautiful. All right, that just I think that elevated my draft a little bit. I kind of feel like been drafting in the NFC, and I always kind of felt like FFPC was a little bit on par with NFC, but I'm kind of seeing the difference more this year between the two draft rooms. The NFFC has been a lot tougher this year. I feel like compared to FFPC. And I've only done, I haven't done as many of the FFC, but it's just nice to kind of get out of those rooms where you see the same guys every single time the NFFC, and you move over to the FFPC, and I don't really recognize a lot of these names. And the pool is a lot bigger because there's so many more entries. So the NFFC, I think, is just a smaller community compared to the FFPC, but the NFFC just has so many more guys that are doing many more drafts, and the community there is definitely better. But FFPC, again, a great site. These guys do a great job. I like watching their shows as well. Very, established site, and they have a ton of great tournaments. Um, and there's a ton of great drafters here too, and a lot of the NFFC guys drafting here too. So it's just that there's the freaking Big Gorilla has so many more entries. I think the NFFC players, football guys, is 4,800 entries. This is like 16,000, 17,000, and obviously you go from 300,000 grand prize to a million, so it makes sense. All right, so wrap this baby up with a defense, and we'll go over the team real quick. We'll look at some of the other teams in the meantime. Um, Team one, Gibbs, London, Nico, DeAndre Swift, Bucky, Laporta, Kittle, Quentin. Then he gets Purdy and Goff. I mean, I like his picks. Even Caleb Douglas, Trey Harris, Tesla, Naylor. A lot of sound picks here for team one. Team two, that's me. We'll get to that last team three. Jamar Chase, Henry, Rashee Rice, Montgomery, Trevion, Burrow, Stevenson. He gets the New England backfield. Waits on tight end, gets Kelsey and Andrews. I like his receiving picks too. Myers, Shakir, Cooper, Dell. These late round picks are nice. I'm not a Trevion guy, but he gets Ramondre. So he's got that backfield solidified. You get Montgomery, who's a good value. Henry. He gets the Burrow Chase stack. Team four, Puka, Loveland, Devonta, Judkins, Tootin, Pierce, Pollard, Solid, Hurts, Monunga, Higgins, McMillan, Tucker, Dillon. Yeah, I feel like pretty solid. And Connor late. Team five, Bowers, Brown, Love. I'm not there with Love yet. I don't know. Maybe I should get there with him at some point. I haven't drafted one single share of him yet. T. Higgins, Burden, May. So he gets the May Brown combo. He's got Bowers. He's got T. Higgins. He's got Burden. He gets Tyson, another good pick. His running backs, I don't really trust though. Kincaid, nice pick. He gets Caleb to go with Burden, so he's got two stacks. Worthy was a nice pick. We talked about him. He gets Aubrey in the 13th. You pretty much just ride with Aubrey all year. You don't got to drop no fab on a kicker. Brian Robinson, Travis Hunter, good upside pick. Team 6, JSN, Kenny Walker, Brees, Ladd, Waddle, J-Mo. Wow. I really like that. That's solid. I like this team. Even Marvin 7th, Harvey, okay. Herbert to go with Ladd, Casey Concepcion, he gets Johnson, Ferguson, Hunter. Yeah. That's a good team. I mean, all these guys have drafted really well. So, maybe I just like the way my teams come out a little bit more here. In some of these FFPC drafts rather than NFC. I mean, I like the way my teams come out on FFC too. It's just a different format. Maybe it just looks a little bit better because you're getting better values because of tight ends. I don't know. But either way, I'm just saying all these guys, I think, have done a pretty good job so far. Team 6, though, man. I like it a lot. Sean Tucker. I like it a lot. That's a terrible Jim Carrey impersonation, but I was thinking about that when I said that. All right, Team 7, CMC, Chase Brown, Abuka. Abuka's going in the second round in NFC. Terry, Fannin, Parker, DK, Gainwell, Keaton, Ferguson, Dart, Coker, Debo. I mean, another good team. Genti for team 8, Achan, Alave, Allen, Moore. Gets the Allen Moore combo. Jeez. I don't know, man. These guys drafted pretty damn well. Pitts, Pittman, Dowdle. I'm not the Dowdle, but Lemon I like. Reed, Chris Rodriguez, not a bad pick. Kamara, we talked about him. Good late round pick to add depth to your backfield. Get Shuck to go with Olave. So he gets the Moore Allen combo, and then he gets the Olave Shuck combo. This guy obviously had a plan here, I think. I like it a lot. Another good team. Team 9, Taylor, Saquon, Zay, ETN, Lamar, Kraft, Godwin, Wandale, Goddard, very nice tight ends. Golden, Shaheed, yeah, another good team. Malik Willis, who I like a lot. Again, his receivers, I guess, but I like what he did. He got Golden, Shaheed. I mean, You only have to start 2, and he's got Taylor Bark. I mean, yeah, another good team. Team 10, Amon-Ra, CD, Jacobs, Tet, Carnell. I feel like Carnell should be ahead of Tet. I think Tate's going to be have a better NFL career than Tet. Warren, all right, Jacobs, but Daniels with Krosky, Stack, Jones, Tracy, Strange, Bigsby, Mayfield. All right. I like some of his early picks, but he's got overall not one of my favorites. Team 11, Justin Jefferson. Jefferson's interesting for me. I don't know how much Jefferson. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't believe in Kyler Murray. I just feel like it might be a frustrating thing for Jefferson again. I don't know. I mean, he's crazy talented. I'm just worried he might not be worth that first round pick. Let me make my pick here. Defense. Let's go. I think Green Bay has a nice little schedule to start the year, so we'll take them. All right. So Jefferson. I feel dirty not taking him this year. Like I got fading Justin Jefferson seems crazy, but I got to see it from Kyler Murray. I don't know, man. I don't trust him. You'd have to think he should be able to hook up with Jefferson, but I don't know. I gotta get there with him. And Hampton, I don't know. I don't know either. That's another one. He's going in the first round. I did a draft the other night. He went 3rd overall, which was crazy. So, for where he goes, I don't know. I feel like Keaton and Vidal are gonna have a presence. Hampton, obviously, you give him a little bit of room, he's gone. He's got that speed. Like once he gets his legs going, he's kind of hard to take down. A little similar to Derrick Henry, where like if you get him in the backfield, he's kind of easy to take down. But when he has like a head of steam, that's kind of when Hampton gets going. But not quite like Henry. Obviously, he can't dominate and be a force like Henry. But he is big. He does go down kind of easy sometimes, and his agility's not the best. But I mean, we saw, and the big thing is everybody's saying Mostert. Mostert glided too. But Mostert had better acceleration, I thought. Probably a little faster too. But Hampton is, I mean, it's close. It's close. They are somewhat similar in some ways. So, McDaniel's going to create some of those lanes, man. So I don't know. That's one I'm having a tough time. Then you got Alton Slater back healthy. So that's another one I'm having a tough time with because of Mitchell and Vidal. But maybe I'm just overthinking of that too. Maybe I got to give Hands a little more credit. But I've watched this guy's college tape multiple times. I watched all his snaps from last year, and I don't know what it is. I'm not there. I just feel like he's going too high. If he was going in the 3rd round, I'd probably feel better about it. But people are just all over it. And he's got bumped up. Neighbors, I mean, all these picks are high upside. I love Cam. Jardarian Price is a good pick. Odunze's solid in 6. Likely solid. Corum, Diggs, I don't know why anybody. I'll never draft Diggs. Chig, but I get it. Knicks, he could sign with the Redskins at some point or Commanders. Everybody loves Stribling. Jaden Blue, we'll see if he could ever get a role. Some good late round picks with Ridley and Cyrus Allen. And then Team 12, Jimmy Cook, McBride, Kyron, Javonte, Evans, Adams. He takes Evans and Adams. Okay. 2 older guys and 3 older guys at receiver. Downs, and he gets Addison Lawrence to go with nobody. But he's also got McBride. So, his backs are pretty solid. Not one of my favorite teams. I think Team 6 is my favorite team. JSN, Kenny Walker, Brees, Ladd, Wild, JMO, Marv, Harvey, Herbert, Concepcion. I like what he did with these tight ends. Get Stafford. And then also I like this team that got the Allen stack with Moore and Team 8. And he gets the Shuck with Olave. And I mean, all his picks I think are really freaking solid. I don't really like Dowdle and Rodriguez, but you got Genti and A-Chain. Kamara's a good late pick. We talked about Mike Washington. He gets Jalen Wright to back up A-Chain. So, these guys all did pretty good builds. This is going to be a tough league. So, I was saying NFFC is a little bit sharper. I think it is, but FFPC, man, there is a lot of really good drafters here too. So that's just my opinion. FFPC could be better. I feel like the room, and maybe like I said earlier, maybe I just feel like getting away from those guys in FFC. I like to switch up. Maybe that's why it feels a little bit more, easier flowing. But now I just went over to some of these teams. I like all these builds for the most part. There's some I didn't like, but some really strong teams, and I think everybody did a pretty good job. All right, my team. Then we'll get out of here. Bijan, Warren, Pickens, Watson, Garrett Wilson. I like that start. I like this team. Brooks, again, he's speculative, but we expected him to take the big step up, and you're hoping for upside. Brian Thomas, again, I could have went with one of those safe receivers there. Safe running backs. Or could have went with, Marv or Pittman or Godwin, I guess, or Jordan Tyson. But Brian Thomas again. And I went into a length about the Jaguar situation and, my doubts about Brian Thomas. But I'm not going to have a lot of them. Not nearly as much as I had him in his rookie year and last year. Those first 2 years, I had a ton of them. I have my doubts, but I'm going to take some shots on him. And this is one of those times. J.K. Dobbins, again, the running back position falls off after him. Michael Wilson, I talked about him. He could have a better season than Marv, and you get a 2-round discount there. Dak to go with Pickens, Dobbs, depth piece there. Jonah Coleman to back up Dobbins in case he does not live up to his word and does get hurt. And Jonah Coleman, we'll see. He's okay. I think he's got some qualities. He could break some tackles. He's a strong runner. But it's going to be, kind of a mix between those three guys. Dobbins will be the main guy, and then Harvey, then Coleman will probably work in a little bit. It's more so kind of a cuff for Dobbins, considering how much he gets hurt. Gunnar Helm as my second running back, tight end rather. I like him. Again, we talked about the Titans. Jordan Love to stack with Watson. We talked extensively about him. Katron Allen, I like him coming out of Penn State. Kamani Vidal, you could argue that he keeps the role over Keaton Mitchell. He looked good last year. He played good Flournoy because I have Pickens, Zachariah Branch. I love this kid. We talked about him. Jason Myers, number one kicker last year. I was surprised he was still floating around there. So I'll take that one. And then Green Bay defense. They have some decent matchups to start the year. I've taken them a few times. Let me just pull it up real quick, and then we'll get the hell out of here. It is late. My two boys are don't go back to school the next week. They go back early here in Florida, but they're staying up late every night. All right, Green Bay, Minnesota. So Kyler Murray, a new offense. I don't know, you got to prove it to me. The Jets, okay. We all know about that shit show, and then you got the Falcons. Tua or Penix, are they going to be healthy? We don't know. That could be another shit show. And then, so the first 3 weeks, I feel like it's pretty solid start for Green Bay. No Parsons, whatever, but they're not the best defense. But the first 2 games are on the road. But, I'll take it as a streamer. I'll start them the first 2 weeks, at least, because I'll probably hold them for the Jets. But I don't know. I could cut bait, I guess, if I see a defense out there that looks really impressive and I want to go after them. But the plan is to really ride them the first 3 weeks. All right, guys. Well, that is it. We're going to get out of here now. I appreciate Vega for jumping in. JMO for jumping in the chat. Samuel earlier on. And Skeet Reese in the chat. Again, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and sharing. We'll bring the board up. Again, I was team 2. Follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. We'll be back again Thursday night for an NFC West preview. Continue our division series. We have the NFC and AFC West to do, and then the NFC East, and the AFC East will be our last one. Tons of drafts all the way up until the season starts. So whether you play in Underdog or DK or FFPC or NFFC or RT Sports or home leagues, there's something for everybody here. So I appreciate everybody. We'll see you soon. Have a good night. Have a good rest of the week.